Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I have a question for, I think, Senator Hertzberg, who was doing the financial part of it. If I may ask a question. So there's $2.5 billion that is available in bonds, and we wouldn't start making payments on those bonds until 15 years from now. So what is the expected total payout of this $2.5 billion by 2051? That's the first question.
Okay, do you want me to answer that now, or do you want to do the second question too? Okay. I'll get the next one. I'll answer them both.
Well, I'd like to have that answer, but if you don't want to answer it, that's fine. You can answer it in your close or whatever. You know, I know that the banking chair is on this committee as well, and we talk about predatory lending to folks who don't understand financing, and you know, this is even worse than predatory lending. Any predatory lending bills that we've seen come through, in my opinion, we have 15 years of not even making an interest payment on a bond that you were loaning the money for right now. And it's not only, it's only a select group of people. It's not, I was involved in AB 859, which was a biomass bill because of fire. 901, a few years ago, we all worked together on, and 1054. And I have been a champion for trying to take care of our watersheds and our wildlife and seeing these catastrophic fires burn. But to narrow this bill down to 3 utilities, 3 IOUs, where's the public utilities? Where's the munis and all the other ones that are getting a benefit from the resources being managed as well? And so it's really just narrowing it down to these 3 IOUs. So I think that's very difficult. And I look at the bill, there's $100 million for the Friant Canal. I don't know if that's just pork or that's the ability to be able to get a vote somewhere. But there's a lot of stuff in this bill that doesn't really add up to wildfire. So those are a couple of first questions that I have. This is I think a bill that really needs a lot more time than what we've seen in the last days of this session. And I know that we have fires. There's no doubt about it that we're burning down. It's unprecedented. But is this really the route we want to go? It's really the folks of California. Everybody in California is liable for the environment that is in such disarray for lack of management for over the last 60 years. So for me, it's like we're picking out one sector that's really easy to, yeah, they do cause some fires, but only 1 out of 10 fires are caused by utilities. We know that for a fact. So those are a few of the questions I'd like to have addressed, if you may.
Senator Hertzberg, do you want to answer that?
Happy to. I think the easiest example, Senator Dahle, would be this. You know, we have the authors and other authors and a lot of folks have spent a lot of time. One thing that's clear is that borrowing money has never been cheaper. So let's assume you could establish a loan for your home. And instead of paying 5% interest, you could pay 0.5% interest. But you paid it all at the end instead of at the beginning. The test is, whether it's a general obligation bond or the full faith and credit of the taxpayers, any kind of other borrowing, the test when you look at the issue that you talk about of predatory lending is what's the ultimate cost? What's the ultimate cost? And the reality is, from all the best experts that we can find, from all the various institutions with whom we have consulted, and all of the various folks, Senator Bloom and Mullen and others, is that money's never cheaper. As I said earlier, it's literally almost 0.1% for a 2-year treasury. So you can establish the pricing now. We have the need now as the state's burning up because you have the need for your house or your car, for your family. And this is just a payment structure that, quite frankly, is going to be a lot cheaper than GO bonds or other types of bonds that would be issued. Second thing is that when you read the measure, it's $500 million, which is borrowed, which is a continuous appropriations for work right now, put people to work, deal with some of this very extraordinary risk from climate change. And then there is the issue of appropriation for the balance of the money. So the legislature will have an opportunity to scrub those issues going forward. And the third thing I think that goes to the core of what you're saying is the nexus issue. And Senator Dahle, you're 1,000% correct. You cannot use ratepayer money for non-ratepayer interests. But the argument is, given the fact that we spent $40 billion just in the last few years on all this liability, anything we can do for the ratepayers to reduce that liability would be a prudent thing to do, particularly because of the unique circumstances. Costs are cheap. It's the farthest thing away from anything that you'd look at in the context of predatory. And the last thing I would say is, we are in tough times. And creative financing allows us to get the people to work, get this work done now without putting a burden on the budget. And also, by the way, zero burden on ratepayers. Ratepayers aren't going to pay a nickel until 2036. They're just going to pay what was under 1054. Nobody has one dime more money. And also, just to address the issue, if I could, that Tern talked about, and the AARP, poor people under the care customer and the medical baseline customer is still protected. Exactly the same protections that are in 1054. I think those answers your questions.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, are these are not tax exempt bonds, are they?
No, they are not.
So the rate's going to be higher than if they're usually tax exempt bonds are going to be lower. And the other question I had is, why isn't LADWP part of this then? They're going to receive some of the benefit from that as well.
Yes.
Thank you. The reason the Los Angeles Department of Water and Power and the other municipal-owned utilities would be a new tax. That would be a new fee on customers over and above what the existing fee is. The notion, just like was articulated in 1054 that you were involved in, that this was a continuing of the AB 1X Mr. Keeley in 2000 that we did back then, and it continued the fee, so no one would feel a greater number in terms of it. It just extended it out. The issue, and maybe it is the right thing to do, and the last thing, again, the bond lawyers who will approve these loans will not allow funding that is not related to the nexus, and the legislature, through its continuing appropriation process, will have the ability to scrub precisely the issues that you raised.
I want to thank the Senator for the answers, or attempting to answer something. I just want to, in closing, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate you indulging me with my questions. I know that many of you know that my family homesteaded in California, and I plan on staying here for a long time. And I know that, we talk about how we can borrow money now at a less expense because the rates are low. That's a fact. But when you're borrowing money that you're not starting to pay on, you're accruing that 0.5% over time, over the first 15 years. And I'm not convinced that that's a good deal for my children to be paying off over their starting their careers. So for that and many other reasons, I think this bill is misguided, and I think that I'm going to be a no vote on it, and I'll be looking forward to the debate on the floor. Thank you.